you doing, Maggie? This is my response to your 300 subs contest, which I'm sure and positive that you're probably up in the 4 and 5s now. You just breathed a lot of fresh air into the violin community when you joined, and it was a time when the violin community really needed it. So it's great to have another lady, another music lover, another Christian, just same personal faith level. So let's get into your contest. Glad to have you in the violin community. I got 3 different sections you talked about. First one is actually a little bit kind of tough, but part of the question, I'll explain that in a minute. So first, let's show number 1, album covers that aren't as good as the music, and album covers that, what did I say it backwards? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, okay, that aren't as good as music. Okay. I mean, better than music and under the music. So these are the 2 records I'm showing where the covers are just really awesome, but the music itself is not up to par. This one was a little bit easier. The other one was tougher. Original soundtrack for the musical High Tops. This is a Christian musical from 1985, and I've been liking a lot of my 80s music recently, and I might go back to this and listen to it again and probably enjoy it, because I think my 80s music palette and the cheesiness of some of it is kind of like growing on me. Some of the music from the 80s is just awesome and just like synthy, and I love it, but sometimes it's just, this one sounded kind of cheesy, but I had to pick it up. And I just love the cover so much. I remember Rob from Boston liked it too. I'm keeping it because I just want to frame it, because it's just sick. It's a pair of really cool high tops and it's a really cool color. So I'm keeping that for that reason. So yeah, High Tops. This one here, I can't remember his name. I can't remember the guy's real name. But on the album he goes by CJ, so it's initials for his name. It's an album called My Lady's Eyes. Now, as you can tell, the cover is just so awesome. The artwork is wonderful. I keep this record, and I always, once every like 4, 5, 6 months even probably, I go back and spin it, and I just don't ever think the music is that great, but I don't want to get rid of it. It's on Ovation Records. It's from 1976, and I just feel like I could like it more, but it just never does anything for me. But I can't, I love the album cover so much that I won't sell it. It says on the back, after all is said and done, the big question remains, can anyone really appreciate CJ? CJ came into the recording business in a rather roundabout fashion, previously working in summer stock on a fishing boat, even as a disc jockey. Fortunately, he found himself and discovered his greatest talent, singing. This album answers the question. After hearing, you'll soon realize that many people will be appreciating CJ. I mean, I'll go back to it again. You know, I mean, maybe some of the songs were okay, if I remember. I think it changes every time I listen to it, but I just can't get rid of it. I wish it was a gatefold, which it's not, which is dumb. But that's the other one where it's like the music just I can't keep up with it. Well, it can't keep up with me, actually. But the album cover itself is just, I love it. It's beautiful to me. Okay. Now these 2, here's the other part of the question. When I like a record, and I get into a record, and once it's in my heart, I really, as bad as a record cover might seem and look, it doesn't look that way to me, because it's attached to me in the way with the record level. Like, everything goes together with it, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like the beautiness of it. But, so that was tough for me. This was really tough, and I was like, there's nothing in my, I almost was like, I can't even do this contest. I'm like, there's no record label covers where I really think these are bad, because I love the music. But these, I will show the ones that I think that people in the general consensus would say could be better. This is Richie Havens, which is a great double live album called On Stage. But first of all, this is actually would be considered the front portion, okay? This would be the back. So first things first, if this is like the edge corner of it, it's basically like they have the cover on the wrong side. Not to mention, it's really, I mean, the picture is just, it's out of focus, it's just not looking that good, right? It could be a job, and it's all and it's sideways on this side. A job could have been better done on the album cover to pay respect to Richie Havens when this album came out. I think it's on his own label. In that case, he didn't do a good job. I think it is. Stormy Forest is his own label on MGM. But it's a great album. It's what introduced me to Richie Havens before he passed away not too long afterwards. But yes, I mean, the album cover could have been better done. But one thing that does save it is that this label, the Stormy Forest label, is a really, really cool looking label with the colors and everything. So that's the redeeming quality. I do kind of wish that it was never like side 1 and side 4 together and side 2 and side 3 together. But that's always a pain. Now the other one, if you can hear it, is what you're hearing. I played so you can tell how great it was. I'm not playing it too loud so that you can hear me. But this is a guy named Lee Michaels. He's about to go into a drum solo, actually. I'll play this song part for you. Well, I'm sorry, he's the keyboard player, but they're about to do a solo, drum solo. Now the cool thing about this album is that they entered into the studio in one single day, so it's basically like a live recording in the studio. It's just him and one drummer. It's Lee Michaels and Bartholomew Smith Frost, who they call Frosty. It's 6 hours and 45 minutes later at 11:45 p.m. that night, they had this album made. So it's one day in the making. It's really awesome. What's the year? Man, I think it's definitely 70s. I just don't have the year on the back of here. It's on the label. It's on AM Records. I'd highly recommend it. But as you can tell, they could have done a better cover job. So both of the ones I'm showing are just like very blurry, up close. They could have done more. But the music is awesome. Like off the chain awesome. Lee Michaels, he's really bluesy. I know you listen to blues more, Maggie. You'd love this. I know I haven't had any of his other albums, but I mean, I'd be surprised if he beat this album on AM Records. Just the two guys, and they're killing it. So that's the first part of your question. It probably took a lot of time, so I will keep going. I'm going to show one for the movie soundtrack that's actually a physical piece, and the other ones I'm going to show the DVDs of. Okay? We have... This is really great. This is Psycho 2, the vinyl album. It's like the only vinyl record I have of a soundtrack that I really wanted to keep. I'm not too big on soundtracks all the time. I can't find the ones I am big on. So this is Psycho 2, composed and conducted by Jerry Goldsmith. I never even saw Psycho 2. I've only seen the original Psycho. I would like to watch them more, especially since I started watching the Bates Motel series this past year, which I thought was cool. But this is the second one, and there's just an eeriness to it. Like, you know, there's a traditional murder scene music, but then it goes into the main title and all these songs, and it's like, there's like an eeriness mixed with beautiful that really, really plays off well together, that really makes it an enjoyable listen. So the very first time I listened to it, I was a really big fan of it. I'm sure Sarah in Sweden's a big fan of this too. So, Psycho 2. The other ones I'm going to show the DVDs of. I don't have the cases because I just put them all in a case, one big case. I don't know if to say much about them. Park Chan-wook's Oldboy. Fantastic, fantastic movie. Soundtrack is very, very well done, very, very well put together. Great director. If you've ever seen him in his other stuff or Oldboy, check out Oldboy first, and then you'll just want to dive in. He has a Vengeance trilogy that Oldboy's part of. He also has some really other films, like a very quirky romantic comedy with people that fall in love in a insane asylum. It's called I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay. Another great soundtrack. I had that as well. I haven't watched this in a long time, so you made me pull this out, which is nice. This is a part of another trilogy, actually, we call the Elements trilogy. It's an Indian filmmaker. I don't know exactly her ethnicity. I'm sorry about that. From 2006. It's by a woman named Deepa Mehta. This film called Water. And it's just very, very, like, it has a lot of Hindi influence. I don't know too many details about different types of styles of Hindi music, but this is also really well done. And this kind of deals with, like, social, political problems going on in the country. Jim Jarmusch, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, earlier film with Forrest Whitaker that he killed, was awesome in. RZA's involved in all the production. RZA's the producer from Wu-Tang, if you're not aware. And he did a lot of this, he did like a bunch of the soundtrack, I think all of them maybe, if I remember correctly. So this is really cool. Ghost Dog is a very, very original soundtrack. Last Samurai. Love Last Samurai. I think it's one of Tom Cruise's best. I am a Tom Cruise supporter in terms of his acting roles. Last Samurai is wonderful. It's Hans Zimmer. Everyone's familiar with Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is an amazing, amazing film score composer. And this soundtrack is great. I used in college, I used to have it on my old computer, and I would listen to it to sleep all the time. It's wonderful. And last but not least, my personal favorite movie. When people say, what's your favorite movie of all time? This is my go-to. As good as it gets. I just feel like it has the perfect feel-good mix that I look for. It's funny. It's a little risque at times. It's very warm, heart and warm felt, very touching. It's my favorite movie for lots of reasons. I've written papers on it in college, comparing it to other films. The soundtrack is also done by Hans Zimmer, so the composed section of this with Hans Zimmer is wonderful. On top of that, there's some really great song selections that are done in the movie. If you remember, particularly if you've seen the movie, the scene with Helen Hunt when she walks into the restaurant, there's some great music playing in the restaurant when they see each other. I know the scenes and the script like the back of my hand. I love it. I'm very romantic at heart, so that's another one. Let me check my time so I go over the last part of the question here, which I have around 3.5 minutes for. I won't try to take that long. Unfortunately, I don't have any hard copies of the songs when you said the songs that make you stop. But a long time ago, maybe a year ago or something, I did start thinking about it. Like when people ask, do you have a favorite song? I never really choose favorites, really. I just, As Good as It Gets might be an exception, but otherwise I'm not big on favorites because I feel like it's hard to really pick one. But I have been wanting to compile a list of when it hits me. When you talk about those stop moments, I've had a couple of those moments where those stop moments happened, and I realized, stop moment, that has to go on my list when people talk about my favorite all-time songs, plural form, not singular. So I will say 2 of those that are great. First one is Death Cab for Cutie and their song called What Sarah Said. I think it's an unbelievable song. I think the atmosphere of the piano is fantastic. I also think that it's really incredible in terms of the story, what goes on in the song, and the lyrics itself. It's about, being in a hospital in a bad situation when someone's about to pass away and die, and how it's not enjoyable, and he gets into very detailed about the things around him inside the space in the ER room with the magazines and the smell. And then it ends with a really, really profound statement. Love is watching someone die. Who's going to watch you die? It's just an incredible song. It just gave me chills, actually. If you ever saw I looked back, my eyes might have closed. I got chills thinking about it. So that really does it for me on a personal level. I never had experiences. I've had experiences with death, but nothing like that. But it just hits me, and it strikes a chord that I just haven't had any other song strike in quite that way. The other one, which is great, these 2 songs are, if there's anything you took out of this video, I'd hope that you take these 2 songs out and pop them into YouTube and listen to them and really focus, because I would really love to hear your opinion. So What Sarah Said, Death Cab for Cutie. The other one is The Foreign Exchange, is the name of the group. The Foreign Exchange started off as a foreign exchange, doing beats and things over the computer from different countries. It's a producer from the Netherlands named Nicolay, and a singer/MC named Fonte from a very popular group called Little Brother, hip-hop group. Fantastic music. They have 3 studio albums now. Their last one has a song, sorry about the vacuum, the last one has a song called Laughing at Your Plans. And Laughing at Your Plans is an incredible, incredible song. I highly recommend that you check it out. I won't go into any details in case the door's about to get opened in the vacuum, I'm not too sure. So let me just say, please check out Laughing at Your Plans. And from a perspective, of a Christian perspective as well, Maggie, I think you'd really enjoy it. And let me know what you think. I'd really love to hear your opinion. Sorry I didn't say more about that song. I want to go before it's 15 minutes and the vacuum kills me and attacks everyone. Love you guys. Love you, Maggie. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm a big fan. Take care.